everyone, welcome back to Clever Octopus. Let you in on a little movie magic secret. Sometimes you film things out of order, like this intro is actually after I'm totally done with this episode. But I hope you enjoy. We're going to be doing welding and diesel tanks and engine, so yeah, enjoy it. Well, it's time to plug up possibly the biggest hole in the boat, aside from the ones that I've already cut. Yeah, so where the steering pedestal used to be, the base of it, so the pedestal is aluminum and the boat is steel, and you get galvanic corrosion when you have two dissimilar metals together like that. So what happened is this. Yeah, you can see the two studs at the front there where the pedestal mounted to, and right underneath it where the aluminum ended up touching and all the water pooled up there. Yeah, you got that. So I'm gonna cut that section out and then we're just gonna weld in a new one right there. Should be pretty easy. Okay, we've got the plate cut to size and I'm ready to patch it in here, so I'm just gonna weld it right up. Alright, so let's take a second to talk about what happened here. All of the metal on this side has a lot of impurities in it, probably the rust mixed in and whatever. It's pretty common with older cars, you know, when you're welding in a new floor pan or something, and this is very similar. It doesn't matter how thick the metal is, really. It just gets to the point where you try and weld it and it just blows right out, no matter what your welder settings are at. And I could cut back the metal and weld in a new plate, yeah, but you know, it takes a lot of time to do that, and there's no guarantee where those impurities end, so I could spend a lot of time chasing that. So for me, I'd rather just do long arcing and weld in an ugly weld like that and grind it down, and maybe I'll put another weld over top of it. When I grind it down, I'll see how many little pinholes and inclusions are inside of that weld, and if there are too many, I'll grind it out and put another weld over top of it. But it's plenty strong. The impurities don't really affect the strength for this application because it's not flexing or bending. It doesn't hold a lot of a load. So that's what happened over here. This backside laid down very nice. I'm pretty happy with that, and most of this side over here on the port side. So what I'm gonna do, I got a little bit of a bend here from warpage from my welds, so I'm gonna hit here with the hammer just a little bit to hammer it down, and then I'm gonna hammer this guy up from the bottom, and once those are in line, I'll just put that last weld right across the front of there. Okay, well, I partially expected that I'd have issues hammering up this section right here. There was a weld that runs right down the middle here, and when they welded it, it looks like that warped the plates down. So I cut this slot in here to kind of ease it a little bit, to give me a little more room to work with. It hammered up a little bit more with that, but not all that much. I did hammer this one down. It looks pretty flat now, and you can see that the welds turned out pretty well, especially on this side. I mean, with that much long arcing, you know, and crappy metal, you expect a lot of pockets and pitting, but really just a couple little spots here that'll go over. I'm gonna lay another chunk of bead in here to level that out, and I might lay another bead in back here because there's a low spot right here from the same situation that was happening up here. So I think I'll probably put another bead in there. But right now, what I'm gonna do is use this nice plumber's wrench, and I'll pull this up and I'll tack weld that right there to keep it in place. So let's see how well I can do welding one-handed while I'm prying with the other. Start left-handed is no good. Alright, today we're going to clean out the diesel tank, which has been a thing that I've been hoping to do for a long time, and I really didn't want to do it myself because it's dirty work and I didn't have anywhere to put the fuel. So luckily I found PetroClean here in Bellingham. So we've got Kevin over here and Devin and
mechanicking in coronavirus time, right?
Yes. And these guys, this is what they do. You can see they're gonna suck the fuel right out of the, I got a couple of jerry cans here. They're gonna pump it right out of there, and then when they get it pumped out, they'll clean out the inside of the tank, and you guys will get to see some of the action as it happens.
So it looks like the tank actually does continue, like this is still tank?
Yeah, I think it goes all the way back to the V in the back there, and all the way down to the bottom of the bilge too, probably.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see when we get it empty. My guess is we'll be able to clean this part. That's where you're drawing the fuel from, and that's the most important. And that's where most of the debris is gonna be. Okay. But from usually, you know, like there's a baffle here, there's a couple holes in it, but nothing big enough that we could like reach through and scrub. Sure. But we'll see what.
Do you have a camera that could get pictures back in there?
Yeah, I mean we can. There's enough room we can just stick a smartphone in front of it.
Okay, that's true.
And usually we'll get pictures that way to give to folks. But this is so far so good.
Cool. Kevin and Devin just took off. They finished up in the tank here. Looks really nice. A little bit of pitting corrosion, but nothing serious at all. So yeah, very happy with what they've done, and great guys. If you're in the Bellingham area, definitely give them a call. Get your diesel tank maintained, and they made a new set of gaskets for the plates there. I'm not quite ready to bolt them on yet, but yeah. And they'll make access ports for your tank if you don't have them, which is a huge service. So yeah, if you need diesel tank cleaning, they're the guys. Interesting thing they found back there behind that baffle, the diesel tank just keeps going way back and down and down and down. And it's something that I kind of suspected. So below the rudder, the arm that makes up the bottom of the rudder has two drain plugs on the side of it, and I wondered what those were for, and I suspected that they were for the diesel tank. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. So let me go out there and show you. Alright, so here's the plug that I'm talking about. It's right below the propeller. Makes up this bottom arm of the rudder post here. Rudder stock, whatever you call it. So this is a good thing because the diesel, all the junk and whatever comes down and settles out of the diesel tank into this arm. So that means that my fuel will be relatively free of particles, but it also means that all the water that settles out of the fuel will end up down there. And steel and water mean rust. So I can see why they put the drain plugs there, because you need to drain the water out. But yeah, so that's the downside, is that water is going to settle down in there. Just gross. So I'm gonna let that drip out of there for a little bit and find a new plug to put in there, something more reasonable, stainless steel. And I'm gonna have to poke some rod or. Alright, well, most of the stuff is drained out of there, and I used a vacuum and sucked the sludge out of the inside, and now I'm just gonna put a final wipe down on the threads here. Pretty good. Now, they had a steel plug in there with the half-inch square drive on it, and what I'm going to use is this stainless steel with the external square drive. When you're painting things, it's never a good idea to use internal drive because they get clogged with paint, and then that's no good. So external drive, much better. And there's just some Loctite 55 Teflon tape. Remember which way I'm turning this. That way. Okay, that should do. I'll get a knife and trim that off of there. So that's it. Every time I haul out, I just have to open this up and drain the water out. Back in, and yeah, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. Everyone kept telling me I would need 2 people to do it, but obviously not. You know, you just use your leverage and tools wisely, and that's how you get the job done. Thanks for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it again, and I'll see you next time.